Hello and welcome to the Business Practice Podcast. I'm Evelyn and I'm thrilled to have you join me on this incredible journey. Just like everything in life, becoming great in business takes practice, dedication, and a hunger for knowledge. And that's exactly what this podcast is all about. Now, each episode, I will bring you top leaders in the business world who have achieved remarkable success. They will generously share their secrets, their tried and true business practices, and their invaluable insights to help you fast track your own journey to the top. But it's not just about the strategies and techniques they employ. I'll also dive into their personal stories and discover the pivotal moments that shaped their path to success. It's an opportunity to learn from their triumphs, failures, and the lessons they've learned along the way. So grab a pen and paper and sit back and get ready to take some notes. The Business Practice Podcast is your guide to unlocking your potential and propelling your business to new heights. Let's dive in and learn from the best in the business. Hey, Christine, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for playing with me.
Thank you. Thanks for coming over and doing this.
Give audiences an idea of who you are, what you do, the name of your company, and what kind of huge events you are at the helm of.
My name is Christine Tripoli. I'm the founder and president of Looking Glass Events Group.
Looking Glass. Why did you name your business Looking Glass?
Looking Glass is a mirror. So I wanted to reflect my clients. I wanted them to see themselves in the work that we do. That was number one. And number two, like Alice went through the Looking Glass, she transported herself from regular life into this amazing sensory space where she experienced all sorts of adventures. And that was the other part of it. With the events that I work on, I like to hope that I'm bringing people into a space where they are experiencing something different and unique and new and surprising and delighting.
Brilliant.
Thank you. We are a bespoke events company here in New York City that produces a wide range of different types of events, everything from corporate to nonprofit. I do a lot of work in the nonprofit sphere, and it's everything from conferences to festivals to concerts to whatever my clients want. And I've been doing events for going on 3 decades now.
So a minute.
Yeah. So while over the years, I've worked on some really amazing things. I worked for Times Square, did the New Year's Eve bowling with a great team over there. For many years, I worked on Super Bowl when it came to New York and oversaw all the events for the host committee here in New York.
Yeah, you're dropping some names there.
Dropping some names from the past. All that has sort of contributed to where I am today and being able to bring to the stage some great, good events. Yeah. And working with great clients.
Listen, I think you're very humble and I appreciate that. But let me just backtrack and just say it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some bomb-ass clients. Okay?
They were some bomb-ass projects. So yeah, I feel very blessed to have been able to do those kinds of projects, especially when you're in the event world. They don't come around that often, and when you do, you really make the most of it.
Now, these clients have their pick of the businesses that they want to work with, and they come to you, Christine.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about your personal character traits that represent you, Christine, that you bring into your business?
Well, I think for me, it's 100% about building relationships with people and getting to know the people you're working with, getting to really understand and know their businesses so that you can appropriately represent them and work with them and be an extension of who they are. People bring me on because, first of all, they get me. I have a great team that works with me as well, but they get me, and I foster a strong relationship with every single one of my clients so that I can really help them in the way they need to be helped. And they can trust me. They know that they are safe when they're working with me because I'm going to take really good care of them. And I'm going to bring all those years of working on all those different types of events, bring the best practices to them.
That's awesome. What are the 3 elements that you would say are your top 3 personality integrity traits that you make sure are present in your business?
Well, first of all, authenticity. I am who I am. And Looking Glass is authentic to ourselves. We're not trying to be anything else. And we extend that to our clients as well. We want them to have an authentic experience with us. That's number 1. Number 2 is integrity and honesty. I fully believe in being very transparent and open and not hiding from my clients, being very forthright, but really transparent. So everybody is always on the same field.
And what about the last sort of personal character trait that is super important? It's one of your foundational integrity and truths that you make sure is present in Looking Glass.
It's all about making connection, right? Making connection with my clients, making connection with the people who I'm working with, having honest, real connection, and then also making connection with the guests and the attendees and the folks at my clients' offices so that there is that kind of trust between us. So it's creating connection is really important to me.
Yeah. Talk about what it's like if you didn't have authenticity, integrity, and connection.
I think everybody's seen that. You get people that are a lot of fluff, that say a lot of things, make a lot of promises that they can't keep. They're not truthful about who they are, what they're representing, and they're basically looking for a quick buck. And that is the opposite of what we are. My goal is to have long-term relationships with people and to build trust and to build a foundation so that every year when we come back and do your event again, it gets better and better. And we're not starting from scratch. We're building from a foundation of trust.
That's awesome. And that synergy and understanding of each other's people and understand their personalities and wants, that's all already there. So once you just harness it and it gets better and better.
Yeah.
So I love that. So let me ask you this. I know that Looking Glass is one of the top event companies in New York City, which is a hugely competitive city, which says a lot about you. And you're also one of the few, correct me if I'm wrong, Christine, one of the few women-helmed event companies.
I think there are a good number. I'm proud to say that we are.
You're one of them.
I'm one of them. Yeah, I think the event industry gladly and happily is represented by a lot of great women out there. There are great women at the helms of a lot of great agencies and small, large agencies as well. And so I think that we're present. Women are present in the events world.
But let's not be so modest. You are one of the leaders in this industry, which is great. So what sorts of things would you have wanted to learn when you were coming up that you wish you had, but you didn't have, but now you're wanting to build upon?
Yeah, I think this is important, whether you are to have your own business, which is what I created, or you're a freelancer, or even if you are working within a company, is really to know your value. Understand and don't shortchange yourself. Women have been fighting for years for equal pay and equal rights and everything else. But in this world where we are today, and it's all about knowing and understanding your value and believing it in your core that your value is there and you can't be afraid to ask for your value. Especially as a small business owner, you're not just paying your salary, you're paying your overhead. Who's paying for your vacation time? Who's paying for your benefits? There is something to be said for really taking a look at the big picture and not undervaluing. It's the number one thing I see when women who are coming to me for advice on starting their own businesses or their own practices or their own consultancies. It's the number one thing. Nobody wants to talk about money. And when we do, I find that people are afraid to ask for their full value.
Give me one story, if you can, that you went through, that you fought this challenge of not giving yourself enough value, and what was happening at that moment. Walk me through it.
Okay.
And what did you learn from that?
When I was starting the business, and when you start a business, you start from scratch. You have to build your clients from scratch, make your relationships from ground up. And it was very scary because in the events world, in any business world, really, you don't know what's around the corner. Who could have predicted COVID, really? And everything that did for the event industry, destroyed the event industry. But in any normal year, you don't know what's coming around the corner. So you tend to make safe decisions. One example is that I did a proposal for an event that I was afraid to ask for more money because I really needed and wanted this gig. It was one of my first gigs. And I undervalued myself. Okay. I knew that as soon as I started working, because once I figured out how much time I was spending, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm getting paid way less than if I were to be working in a real job. But I had already committed to it. I signed the contract and it was a great event. Everything worked out really well. And I was not sad about doing it. It was wonderful. But then the following year, they came back to me and it was very hard to say, wait a second, I really undervalued myself last year, because it's very hard to do that. So, that event continued to be a loss for me over the years. So that's one of my own lessons that, like, when I started out, that you don't undervalue yourself because you'll be resentful of it.
Yeah, definitely. With all of your experience that you have now garnered under your belt, why is it important to you? Because I know that you are about community and community building. What do you want to do with all these precious life lessons that you've learned, both as a person and also as a successful business woman?
I've been blessed to have a really interesting and great career with lots of lessons learned. I want to keep paying it forward and being there as a support for other women who are starting their businesses, who are starting a new chapter in their life, particularly when you get in the 50 plus age range. People are being pushed out of their careers at this age. You're starting to quote unquote age out. But this is the time when everybody's got the most knowledge and the most experience and the life lessons behind them. So I want to pay it forward to other women and help them take their lives to the next step and do it together. I'm ever changing. I'm ever evolving. And I'm always looking for, hey, what's my next adventure? What's my next excitement?
You've got this optimism that sort of radiates. With all of this, you talk about community building. What sorts of things are you doing to build that community?
I've done a little bit of speaking out there. I've done some talks about shifting your life and how do you face things that are very scary in your life. I talk a lot about sort of my own personal life change. I came out when I was almost 40 years old, which was a huge life change for me. And I talk a lot about that with people and in front of groups. On the other flip side of it, from a very corporate perspective, I talk a lot about how to create any event to be the best event you can do. But you can apply those event lessons to your own life lessons as well.
You talk about event planning and how that could be applicable to your life. Give me an example of like how an event lesson that you've learned can help me in my life.
Okay. So I see creating events as 5 steps. And the first thing is that you ask yourself the question, who am I? That could be a client. Like, who is the client? Who am I? Who is hosting? Who is the presenter? And you can apply that to yourself too, really knowing who you are as a person. Then you say to yourself, okay, what's my story? This could apply to an event too. Every event has a story. And the story could be as simple as, come on over and try our product and enjoy our product and walk away remembering our product. That could be the story, or it could be a personal story. What is my personal story? My personal story is I'm a businesswoman who has started her own business after a long line of events, producing a long line of events for many years. And that's my story. But everybody has their own personal story, and every event has its own story that they want to tell. Then the next question that's really important is, who are you? Who am I talking to? Who's my event guest? Who does my business speak to? Who am I talking to on the other side? And then what do I want you to do? What is the action I want you to take? So for an event, it could be, I might want you to donate money to my nonprofit that we're representing. I might want you to try the product. And then as me, as a person, what do I want you to do as a human being? Do I want you to hire me for your event? Do I want you to, let's work together on a project? What do I want you to do? The final thing that is the most 100% most important question you could possibly ask for anything you're doing is, how do I want to make you feel? How do I want you to remember this experience? As an event, it could be, I feel like I'm the bomb. I am the best. That's what I want you to make you feel. Or I want you to feel, oh, wow, that moved me. As a human being, it's like I'm always working with people and trying to understand what's going on in their internal life too.
Okay, that's applicable to an event. How do I use that in my life?
How do I use that in your life? Every day? I think that you have to internalize a lot of this, and you have to internalize all of those questions. It's part of who you become and how you connect with people. I connect with you and you connect with me because we make each other feel something. We feel valued, we feel appreciated, we feel liked. So I think you could take any of these lessons and apply them to your personal life, your professional life, your corporate life. If you're in a corporation, working in the halls of big business, you can take all these lessons. But it all comes down to how we feel towards something, what emotion we take from something, right, how we connect as human beings. Everything else, it matters, but ultimately that's where you walk away with, okay, this is satisfying to me. This is satisfying to you. We did this. Okay.
And I love that because I think the we has really been an elusive and dying idea that people don't really put value in anymore. You talk about capturing other people's feelings, and that is the marker, is that correct, of a successful event,
right?
Is if they walked away feeling great about it. Let's flip that for a second. What makes you walk away feeling great about something that you just did, be it in your personal life or professionally?
This happened long before I started my own business, but I worked on New Year's Eve in Times Square, and I was one of the producers on the Millennium as well. And I will never forget the moment we did a 24-hour celebration that started when the first time zone went through the Millennium. And I was standing in the center of Times Square, and it was the Pacific, that was the South Pacific, that was experiencing the New Year. And the song that we played at that moment was this Polynesian song that my mom had played for us. My mother loved Polynesian music, played for us when we were children. And after working so hard for so many months, this first moment of this momentous event, I'm sitting there bawling like a baby because I'm hearing a song that my mother played for me when I was 6 years old. And that kind of being in that moment, thousands and thousands of people around me, music is booming, the lights are bright, there's so much anticipation for this moment all around the world, and I'm having a moment that I'm connecting with my 6-year-old self. And that was probably one of the most amazing event moments I've ever had, and that I've tried to take that into how I produce events, putting myself in the moment at somebody's event. I said, what am I going to hear that's going to make me feel good? What is my guest going to hear? What are they going to see? What are they going to feel in that moment? Because they walk through the door to this event.
So let me ask you this, Christine. For any sort of entrepreneur, any sort of business, for you, you are successful. You are one of the leaders. What's your best advice, your best business practice that you'd want to pay forward to others that look to you?
No matter what business you're in, no matter where you're going in your life, I think this trusting your higher self and trusting that part inside of you that knows what the right path is for you, that you really need to have faith and trust in that part of you, because you'll have all sorts of voices telling you, do this, do that. But when you can connect to that higher space inside you, you're never betraying yourself. You're never betraying your clients. You're never going down a wrong path when you are staying true to yourself, to what you know is right. And that's what I feel is like the most important thing. And that relates to all of my key business practice. It relates to being authentic. It relates to connecting with people. It relates to all of that. Having that core, that solid inner core space that is true to yourself. And yeah, it's scary sometimes, and accept that it's scary. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to be around the corner. You don't know if you're not going to have a client next year that you might need, but really staying close to that and reminding yourself, you are what you represent, and your highest and best is what you need to bring to the table.
I love that. We all live in a world full of challenges, twists and turns that life can throw at us.
Yeah.
And even though you're successful, that's not to say that you don't face hardships and challenges.
Yeah.
When people come to you, Christine, and Looking Glass, what's the one thing you want them to know they will always get with you, and what you will always bring to them?
I've always put like my honesty and my integrity behind everything I do. I'm not going to lead you astray. And honestly, I'm a certain personality, and I'm going to make it fun for you. You know, I'm going to 100%, because I want to have fun when I'm doing my work. I want to make our experiences enjoyable. And so whatever that means, whether creativity and having really creative meetings is fun, I want to make it an enjoyable experience for people too, because honestly, I want to have a good time too.
People who haven't even started and are still scared about starting their own business, what's your number one business practice that they can just do to start?
Know yourself really well. Do the work. If you need some therapy, go to therapy. If you need some self-building skills, do the work. Do the research. Do the homework. take classes, think about yourself, who you are. And that's number one, because until you know who you are, you can't really sell what you do.
Thank you to my guest, Christine Tripoli, for gracing us with her wisdom and insights. Christine truly exemplifies how much of herself and her core beliefs are interwoven into her business looking glass. Her dedication to truth and serving her clients is truly inspiring. We've learned so much from Christine today, and I encourage you to take these incredible lessons, both in business and in your life, to propel yourself to the top of the leaderboard. I hope you found great value and gained practical insights that will catapult you towards your own success. Remember, practice does make perfect, so keep honing your skills and chasing your dreams. Thanks so much for listening.